Howdy, y'all. I think maybe we should do it like this, like we always do. Howdy, and hello. There's 3 of y'all in here. I can tell. The little thing says so. Nobody wants to say anything. That's alright. I don't have to talk to me. It'll be pretty boring for y'all though. I will tell you right now, the Afrique cigar by Monte Cristo. Oh, Steph's driving. Understood, Steph. No need to chat while you're driving. That only accounts for one. Steph, we're very happy to find out that a certain person named Roy is home. Now, I will tell you, there's lawnmowers out here. And for some strange reason, they want to drive their lawnmowers up and down the street. Okay, so back to what I was going to say. Today, we're going to have the Afrique cigar. If you watch the first couple of minutes, you saw how it was named Afrique. So it could be Afrique, it could be Afrique. But I asked, and they said Afrique. Now I'm going to tell you, this thing has a cap that is about a mile deep. I really had to dig with that knife to get through there. But it's got a nice open draw. It's easy to handle. And with that wide ring gauge, even though it's a Maduro, it's going to have a bit less strength than what you're expecting. Light, flavorful, surprisingly good, and almost completely unheard of. I say almost because, well, I've heard of it, so it can't be completely unheard of. Now that y'all have listened to me babble about it for a second, you've heard about it. Now I will tell you, see the yellowish coloration on the cellophane? It does not take long for this cigar to start yellowing a cellophane. Which, as any cigar smoker is going to tell you, those yellow cellophanes are actually a good sign. It means it's got a little bit of age. Because this one doesn't take very long to start yellowing it. What it means is it's starting to breathe out the oils that are inside the leaf. And those end up coating a little bit on top of the cellophane. That means that the sugars are coming towards the surface. Now it's going to reveal some natural sweetness out of your tobacco. If there were little white crystals all over it, it would be called plume. Plume is good, mold is bad. Howdy, Sid. Great to see you, sir. And the easiest way to tell if it's plume or mold, if it's your tobacco and you really want to know, if you lick your finger and you rub that little bit of white-ish substance, if it's mold, it will still be there. And you don't have to sit there and just keep rubbing until you get it off. No, you saw, I only rubbed it about, 3 little circles. That should be enough. Plume will disappear because it's sugar crystal. It'll melt to your finger. It's the easiest way to tell. No plume on this, but it's a good thing to know. Wow, I've gone from just Donald Frickin' Hughes to Donald Frickin' Frackin' Hughes. I wish I was fracking. That means I'd be in the oil field making money. Oh, except for the fact that Biden shut all the fracking down. Maybe not all of it, but more than I'd care to admit to. Not to talk about politics. That's not talking about politics. That's just a statement of where fracking is in the United States at present. During Donald Trump's administration, fracking was legalized again, and then almost immediately upon Biden taking over, fracking was frowned upon again. I'm not saying whether you're right, you're wrong, left, right, or sideways. You can see the proof of that statement at the gas pump. Y'all remember when Trump was in office and it was below $2 a gallon and now it's almost $3 a gallon? Well, there you go. You don't have to like my statement. Alright, got it toasted, didn't get it lit. That's okay though. This particular version of the Monte Cristo Afrique is a 60 ring gauge. My personal preferred ring gauge because I know I can smoke it and it's not going to plug up on me. Now I'm going to tell y'all why this particular cigar is not talked about very often. It's inexpensive. For the Monte Cristo brand that's on it, it is inexpensive. I'm not going to try and talk to you about the exact price that you're going to find it at, but for a comparable Monte Cristo, same size, same shape, same everything, except for one's the Afrique and one's pick any of the Monte Cristo lineup. Pound for pound, the Afrique is one of the more inexpensive Monte Cristos on the planet. And why am I talking about this? Because our good friend Phil Rivara won one of these is coming his way, along with a damn fine Padron. I thought about smoking the Padron, but I'm kind of saving that for Christmas or New Year's because, well, oh my God, it's a 1926 Padron. Well, Cliff, it's hard to disagree with the fracking statement. There's a lot of oil field workers that when fracking is allowed, they go out there and work and make a damn good living. And then when fracking is not allowed, they tend to come back to Houston and get jobs in the plants. Being that I happen to live in Houston, I happen to know a bunch of them. Call them friends, talk to them on a regular, somewhat regular basis. When it's really going good in the fracking industry, I can load up a truck full of various different fuel or fluid and take it out to those guys out in West Texas, and I can get paid pretty damn good for doing nothing more than driving. Comes from having a Class C. That's all that is. Odie, howdy, sir. Great to see you. I agree with Cliff wholeheartedly. You're definitely right. Howdy, Matt. Great to see you, sir. Matt, will you be going live in Chad's normal position? Whether you're wanting to do 2 hours, 2.5 hours, 1 hour, whatever you want. I'm not trying to force you to go extra long or crazy on this. I'm just asking so that I can know for certain, and that way I can make sure to be watching for whenever you go live, or at least have other people watching, or you can let us know when you're about to go live, and then we can be all prepared to jump over to your channel. Said that is definitely true. It is a freaking cigar. Now, they use African tobaccos in this cigar. And that doesn't mean that it's any lower quality. That just means that they use some blends that you can't get unless you go into Africa to get them. Similar to the way a Dominican Republic blend is going to taste different from a Nicaraguan blend. I mean, if all tobacco tasted the same, they would be growing hothouse tobacco in Antarctica just because, hey, there's plenty of water, all you got to do is defrost some. You got to have the right soil. You got to have the right sunlight. You got to have the right water. You have to have so many things come together just perfectly. Oh, not a problem, Matt. Not a problem at all. But I did notice that the last 2 weeks you have gone live uh, in the time that is sort of vacated at present by our good friend Chad. Everybody knows him as Yardism. Um, which brings me back to my statement on my not a problem, Odie, not a problem. Oh, Idan, not a problem. This is just my normal. This is when I go live on a Friday. I didn't mean to cut into your live stream. I don't intend to do that to anybody, quite honestly. I've only got one issue with this cigar, people. I only have one, and it's a very small issue. The small issue is that until you get about a half inch of ash out the end of it, it doesn't stay lit very well. It'll stay lit, but if you smoke it, it will stay lit. If you do what I've been doing and talking more than smoking, it'll go out. Which is kind of a good thing if you think about it. You're not just wasting your cigar by talking. And you can always relight one of these. Well, that's cool. I got tailgated for by Iran, which is awesome. And for certain, Iran, shalom, brother. Great to see you. By the way, in case y'all are wondering, the can opening sound is just a sparkling water with some lemon taste. Idan, the Magic Toast is not an infused cigar. In fact, if I remember correctly, there is not an Alec Bradley brand name cigar that is infused. That's not to say that they do not roll some cigars that become infused due to other people's specifications, but they don't put their Alec Bradley name on that particular cigar. Yeah, Don, I'm going to say, normally if the cigar tells you that it's great, chances are it's just not. And I don't know why that specifically tends to be true, but I've never seen a cigar that came out of anywhere that was labeled as great cigar or perfect cigar or fantastic cigar that was anything other than garbage. That's not to say I have tried all of them, but it seems to be, if they're trying to tell you it's great, it just, it falls well short of that. Cliff, just remember, if you're picking them up, lift with your legs, sir. You don't need to be jacking with your back at present. Be careful. Now, if I'm trying to tell you that a cigar is really good, it is not because I read somebody else's paid for, possibly half-assed review. It means I've actually smoked a few of them. I smoked the first one and was like, man, that was good enough. I'm going to get another one. And then after having 3 or 4 of them, I'm like, man, they burn well. They taste good. They don't cost an arm and a leg just to look at them. Granted, there's some cigars out there that, yeah, they're expensive, and you're going to pay awful lot of money for them. And some of them are worth it. And some of them, well, I would love to tell y'all that all of them that are expensive are going to be great. But I can't tell you that either. Yeah. Well, Iran, it's part of what I'm trying to hopefully get people to avoid. I keep freezing on you. Okay. Well, it's not saying poor image quality on my end, but God, I hope it's just like a solar flare or something. Well, Steph, if you're still driving, that could be it. Howdy, Steve and Miss Kathy. Great to see you. How's the weather in Oklahoma? It's 80 degrees here in Houston. It's freaking December and it's 80 degrees. T-shirt and shorts. Sandals. Howdy, Paul. Great to see you. Well, Steph, if he comes on, that's fine. If he feels like sleeping, that's fine too. Oh, that's always nice. 7 minutes from the house. That's such a short drive, you can't even complain about traffic. I mean, you could. It is Houston, after all. But it doesn't do you any good to complain about traffic for 7 whole minutes. Oh, and for those of y'all who are worried about it being such nice weather, don't worry. Tomorrow it's supposed to be raining and nasty. Yay. I'd love to tell you that every day is great and perfect here in Texas, but I seriously doubt that I could pull off lying to you that way. But Eden, Texas is pretty much its own unique conglomeration of ideas. Some people have a really hard time assimilating into the culture here in Texas. And there really is a culture in Texas, kind of like yogurt. A lot of people think that it sours quickly. But for those of us who pretty much grew up with it, you kind of get to this idea where it's just really not that bad. And then you hear about some of the things going on in other places, and you just kind of go, damn, I'm really happy to live here. Oh, goodness. Steph, that is true. School traffic does get a little bit crazy. People parking in the street to the point where you can't even drive because they jam traffic up because they're not smart enough to either A, plan way ahead, or B, know that they could park in this parking lot, and if they would just follow a system, everything would be great. But then, the other people who are out there won't follow the system, so it'll never work out. Eden, that's definitely true. Every place has pluses and minuses. Texas's biggest minus, realistically, is the weather. Steve, knowing you, that means that he had a piece of Texas named Cut and Shoot, named after him. Steph, I don't think I've ever heard the despicableness of Austin described in better fashion than that right there. Texas has one bright blue liberal location, and it happens to be right around the Capitol, as if people believe that just because you live right on top of the Capitol, you can make those changes that you want to see that the rest of the state is like, yeah, no. In a state this big, it's just not going to happen. Not like that. Ennis. I know where Ennis is. Been there a few times. Well, Steph, Houston is kind of split red and blue. There's that core dot in the very middle of it. But then once you get outside of 610 and start branching a little farther than that, like outside of 610 is purple. Outside of Beltway 8 is red. And people think I'm lying about this. No, seriously, that's pretty much the way it is. I don't actually understand it. Most of the people who live in the quote-unquote blue areas, they follow a party that's all about gun control, which is nothing about gun control. It's more about control of the guns than it is about gun control. Speaking from the Army, howdy Todd, by the way. Speaking from the Army, gun control is using proper aiming points and good, safe treatment of firearms. That's gun control. That's the only gun control I like. Steph, you are definitely right about the difference there between Houston and Dallas. Howdy, Tony. Great to see you, sir. Haven't seen you in a while. Good to know that you're doing well. And Paul, even though I said hi earlier. That is true as well, Steph. Keep Austin weird. Whatever. In Houston, definitely, we've got a train trestle bridge that when it gets graffitied, the city pays the original artist to come back out, clean it up, and repaint it with Be Someone. It's definitely interesting. Yes, there is a gun barrel city in Texas. There's also a Paris and a Moscow. Lots and lots of places in Texas with some very interesting names. Well, Odie, Dallas has more things to do than Houston. Houston is actually a terrible location as far as tourism. But we do have some very interesting things, and it's becoming more of a city where people would like to be around. There are 2 or 3 different Bethlehems. I know there is a Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Went through there once. Of course, there's also an Intercourse, Pennsylvania, and a Climax, Pennsylvania. Go figure. Eden, you really won't see all the guns. Most people, they'll either keep it holstered or they're carrying concealed. But do not be surprised if you do come to visit Texas and you do see quite a few firearms out there displayed right on the hip. Well, Steph, you're right that Houston has all that stuff that would be interesting. The problem is it is so spaced out in between locations that, and the public transit system is so atrocious that if you're a tourist, it's horrendous. If you're a local, no big deal, because you already know you got to drive. Corpus Christi is fun. I believe it's the only city in the world that is named the Body of Christ. It's on a little shallow horseshoe bay right there on the coast of Texas, about 45 miles north of where I grew up. Steph, that's very true. Gun racks at the high school were very common in the 80s and 90s. And most of them had a loaded shotgun. But you didn't see the kids running out there and grabbing the shotgun and going in and doing a shoot 'em up. You can't even visit the real Bethlehem? That is interesting and terrifying. There's probably a reason behind it, but I'm not sure what that reason is. But yeah, you could literally in the 80s and 90s go into any high school parking lot and you could see 2 or 3 hunting rifles and a shotgun sitting in racks of student-owned vehicles. Like it was nothing. Because back then, it was nothing. Ah, okay. Bethlehem being not officially in Israeli territory. Yeah, it might be difficult for someone who is Israeli to go there at present. Even though there was... Isn't it Jordan where Bethlehem is? I think it is, but I'm not... Okay, it's in Palestine. Okay. I don't know everything. I'm okay with being told, no, you're wrong, it's in Palestine. It's fine. Yeah, Steph, that was kind of funny. You could literally watch the cops drag drug sniffing dogs all through the parking lot. Dog would hit on one car, and they would basically strip search the car. Well, Jameson's travels. Honestly, no, I can't prove anybody that I actually served in the United States Army. I don't know where my DD-214 is. It got sent to my wife, who was my ex-wife by then. And I was a little bit pissed off when I got removed from the Army. By removed, I mean they gave me the one finger salute when I went to re-up. They decided that 52 Delta was no longer going to be a valid MOS, and so I could go in and Jameson, I understand that stolen valor is a crime. If I was trying to profit off of it, I'd worry about it, but I'm not. Jameson's travels, their stuff didn't show up in your feed. No big deal, Steph. Can I prove that I was in the Army? No. From 30 years ago? No. Do I care if I can prove that I was in the Army? No, actually, I don't. I will tell you a funny story, though. After I got out, I was given a call by Selective Services saying that I didn't sign up for Selective Services when I turned 18, but being that I was already enlisted in the Army, it was kind of a moot point. And I politely told them, hey, if they can get me back in, they're welcome to try. You know what else I can't prove? I can't prove that I'm actually a United States citizen. I have never seen my own birth certificate. The Navy lost that for me. But I was born in a Navy hospital that doesn't even exist anymore. But if Jameson's Travels would like to go and ask the United States Army to produce my shit, and if they actually will, then you're welcome to find it. But here's the funny thing. They're not going to release any transcripts to you. Though, let's see, when I was working for a contract that worked for Homeland Security, going into the post offices, the reason I was hired was because of my military past, because I had already been vaccinated for anthrax. Funny how that works. And when the FBI went and did their background check, anybody who didn't have prior military service had to wait for 6 months while they did a background check to work inside the post office in the locations that we were working. Also interesting. They saw my name and they put a check mark and sent the transcripts to what was my boss with a heavily redacted sheet. Because now I'm going to explain this to you. 52 Delta, power generation equipment repair. They're trained at Fort Belvoir, or at least they were. Fort Belvoir has the distinction of being a demolitions base. Because if you can't fix it, you blow it up. Well, guess what else they taught me in the military other than fixing stuff? Why do they not hand out my records to people? It's simple. They don't want you to know what all I actually do know. Don't blame me. It's United States tax dollars at work. Well, Odie, I've had plenty of guys come in and try to say, oh, well, I think you're doing some stolen valor. You know what? There's some people that actually do that stuff. But you'll never see me again in a United States military uniform. You'll never see me holding a sign saying something, something vet, please help. I took my training from the military. I went, turned it into a civilian career, made a pretty damn good life of myself, and I'm pretty good with it now. But it took me a long time to get to the point where I was okay with the decision from the United States military. And that's just the way it is. Howdy, Jeff. Great to see you, sir. Oh, and there will be plenty more people trying to tell me about how I am supposedly doing some stolen valor. Yeah, well, okay. Again, it's only a crime if you're trying to profit from it. I know plenty of people who wanted in, got in, and didn't actually get to serve. Oh, the other thing is, one of the things that really took me a long time to get used to was people saying thank you for your service. I got in and went to schooling while everybody else went to war over in the Middle East. I got out of my schooling, I did my schooling, and then did my job in the military. I don't believe I was ever in any kind of danger. My firearms were never fired outside of the gun range. I had a small list of little campaign ribbons that were practically minuscule compared to everybody else's. I pretty much had a non-combat job. The most danger I was in, quite honestly, going out the back of airplanes, chasing big shit. When the military decides they're going to drop something from a certain height and have it land somewhere, the big stuff almost always tends to have something wrong with it when it hits. So the repair tech follows it down. Sometimes you literally follow it down, you get down there and nothing's wrong, and you're like, great, awesome day. Howdy, Skip, great to see you. How was Louisiana, sir? But yes, I've been accused of stolen valor many a time. By the time it got actually important enough that I should have that paperwork, I got to the point where I just didn't care. Poof. Besides that, now I'm going to tell you the other side of it. If I did have my DD-214 right here, in my hand, right now, I still wouldn't show it to that camera so that it would be out there for the whole world to see. Some information I'm not giving the world. I've also got a Social Security card, which is the only proof that I'm an American citizen. But like I said, I've never seen my own birth certificate. Hell, when I joined the Army, it took them 6 months to actually figure out that the Navy had lost my birth certificate. They went back into Navy records and was able to find a time when my mother was checked in to a certain hospital while she was married to my dad. Oh, they're still married, by the way, but they weren't actually able to get any of the information off of that either. It was a record of her checking in. Well, let's see. He was on a nuclear aircraft carrier in the engine room. So guess where most of his records are? Oh, let's see, heavily redacted because they didn't want people aware of who all was out there that was nuke trained by the United States Navy. You'll find the same problems with a lot of the guys who were on nuclear powered submarines and nuclear powered aircraft carriers. Blame me. It's not my fault that certain things just don't need to be out there in the public. Well, Skip, we're glad that Lake Pontchartrain or wherever it was that you were did not have any sea monsters come up and get you. And I'm going to tell you this: nobody's happier that you're home than Steph. She was giving us a countdown just the other night. Ooh, it's an hour until he's home. Ooh, 30 minutes. Ooh, 15 minutes. 10, 9, 8. It was fun to watch, though. I'm not mentioning that you dropped some M80s in the toilet, Steph. That's for you to tell him. Oh, wait. I was supposed to not say that. Odie, I'd make a hellacious looking Larry, wouldn't I? Actually, according to my wife, because of my hair, I'm probably more of an Ernesto. Sesame Street. Ernie. She says I have evil Ernie hair. She's right. Ooh, Eden, yes. Pirate cake, strong Latakia blend. So you're going to have a lot of that charcoal-ish smell coming from the Latakia because of how it's aged. I would suggest running some Haunted Bookshop through that. It tends to remove all of the ghost of Latakia from my pipes. I'm not saying that it will do the same for you, but I actually like the taste of Latakia, so it's just fine for me. Yeah, the caking, or how they make a cake by pressing it, it allows the Latakia, the oils that are still in the Latakia, and the way it's cured, that comes out in those oils, and it will seep into the interior of the bowl of your pipe. Eden, there's a lot of people that love it and a lot of people that hate it. I'm not going to try and tell you that you're wrong. If you didn't like it, that's just one of the plain statements of, yeah, it was, it's just not your blend. Um, and maybe it's just the specific kind of Latakia that they used. Of course, a lot of people also kind of dedicate a single pipe to a lot of Kia blends, and then a lot of people also will do that with barley blends, and a lot of people do that with the aromatics. Well, Steph, it could be Carter's Pirate Shop. Carter's Pirate Book. So anyways, yay, I had a troll today. And he didn't realize that I already know exactly where he's trying to go with that. And I'm perfectly okay with him feeling that that is his choice to make. It's okay. I have a cousin by Holly that brought those same, I don't believe you because I was at Fort Jackson the same time that you said you were at Fort Jackson. And I looked at her and I said, did you meet everybody at Fort Jackson? Because unless you were an admissions clerk, you pretty much did not meet everybody. You didn't even meet half of the people if you were an admissions clerk. People came and went from Fort Jackson on a regular basis. See now, Odie, I am not a fan of the Kentucky Dark Fired. To me, that leaves a sour taste as a leftover. And that's me. I'm not trying to steer people away from bold Kentucky Dark Fired. It tastes great as long as I'm smoking it, but once I set it down, it just builds a sour note at the back of my throat that won't go away until I've mouthwashed and brushed teeth and drank a couple of shots of bourbon, and then it pretty much goes away. Eden, I don't have any of the photos either, brother. When I got out the military and was trying to get my life back in order, well, let's see. With a divorce, a lot of my paperwork, a whole bunch of anger issues, and no real place to live at the time, I pared things down to just what I needed. And what I needed fit comfortably in a Geo Metro. So I didn't really have like a whole lot of room for storage and everything else. So a couple of Polaroids that I had, fuck it, gone. Uniforms, bye. Small sets of ribbons, a couple of little citations that I was given. Not like, oh my god, meritorious service citations, but more like, hey, good boy, attaboy. Stuff that when I was still in my 20s that I didn't think long term. I was pissed off at the world, really, I'll tell you. Just pissed off at the world, and I said, fuck it, I don't need this shit. And I got rid of it. Many years later, I'm sitting there going like, man, I need to kick myself in the ass. I need to go back in time and whoop the shit out of my own self and set myself straight and tell you, hey, save this shit. You're going to want it later. Of course, you got to remember, it wasn't as if the military back in the 90s was walking around with cameras everywhere. And because of my job description, I missed a lot of those photo opportunities. Like, let's see. I'd have probably been beat half to death if I was walking around with a camera on my normal, regular, average day. Because the crap I was messing with on a regular, average basis, a lot of it is still listed as top secret. Steve, I'm not going to lie to you. Yeah, that Stonebreaker stuff, it'll make you stick your tongue out and wish that you'd never had one. But it's been working for me. My annual kidney stone problem has not been for 2 years now. I'm not going to try and say that it's all Stonebreaker. I mean, I adjusted my diet a little bit also, but I do my little Stonebreaker. And I only put one dropper squeezy thing into a juice glass full of juice, and I just down it first thing in the morning, every morning. That's what I do. And then if I feel like a kidney stone is passing, I add it to a big bottle of water, but one dropper worth to every bottle of water until that stone has passed. So far it's working. But yeah, that taste is... I found orange juice is the best cover for it. But I don't like to drink orange juice every morning, so there's plenty of times where I'm like apple juice, which it's horrible in apple juice, or cranberry juice, which it's really bad in cranberry juice, but compared to sitting around in a hospital in pain from a kidney stone, I'll take that horrible taste over that kind of pain any day of the week. Jim, howdy, sir. Great to see you this. Now, we're still somewhere in Chad taking a vacation, so if somebody feels like they want to go live and hang out with enough of that the Tailgate crowd and hang out until Cane Rod comes on, I'm all for y'all doing that. But I'm not twisting anybody's arms to do that. We're not going to force anybody to. We're just hanging out, having a good time. And I'm luckily enough getting to smoke a great cigar. So how is Las Vegas, Jim? Raiders Minds wants to know. Okay, maybe not. Well, man, them Cowboys sure came back after that loss to the Raiders, didn't they? Feel bad for a certain team from Louisiana. Oh yeah, Steve, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, it's brutal. That stuff is it's ugh. Weather is perfect. Business as usual. Somebody heard you walk out the door, babe. They have said, "Hey, Holly." She's waved. Howdy, Sharon. Great to see you, ma'am. I'm doing well. How about yourself? Not a problem, Sharon. I can understand the knee hurting. Can definitely understand that. I haven't seen Boris. Hey, what do you know? I just got a notification that Martin put out a video. Piping on the go. I'll be able to watch that at some point. Oh, Skip. You don't know who's leading the AFC West? Man, I think it's that team from Missouri. Though how Missouri could be considered West is very interesting. Doesn't seem right. But I guess if you're talking about the four teams that are the farthest west, it's sort of more or less, yes, is the most westerly team of the AFC that was still available. It's kind of like an also ran, isn't it? Oh, and Skip, I'm not going to be I'm not going to be cheering for anything other than total tragedy in a game coming up soon about I believe the Broncos and Kansas City are playing against each other. Y'all never heard me say this, but go Broncos! I got a feeling my team can beat the Broncos. At least I can still say that my team was the last undefeated team in the AFC. Not that that means anything at this point, but, you know, it is. It is what it is. Hey, but interesting news out of professional sports. There's talk about the Coyotes possibly being sold and I'm kind of hoping Houston ends up with the Coyotes with a good name change. It'd be a nice addition to Houston sports. Jim, I would be surprised if you ever uttered any words in professional football that didn't say, go Cheese go. Knowing full well that you're a Packers fan. Steve, it's not so much that I'm afraid of somebody showing up and eating me out of house and home. It would be the embarrassment of someone showing up and then being told, well, due to the whole COVID thing at present, nobody's coming in. And then what do I do? I mean, you just drove 10 hours to get here, and now you can't even come in and see the place. Wait, Jim posted a video? That is unheard of. Is it a video about laundry, Jim? I did not know that Vaseline could get your whites so white. My wife just looked at me all kind of crazy. That's Jim's favorite statement for his wife's in the mood.
His poor wife.
His poor wife. Yeah. Favorite other website. Yes, yes. Jim has said, gee, thanks, Holly.
Just keeping it real, just keeping it real.
Hopefully y'all could hear that, but she said, just keeping it real. Matt, if you don't feel like you can go live, it's fine. There's no requirement. But that does bring up a interesting statement of why this particular live feed was named the way it was. Mike is going to be switching to Sundays. And I have a hard time going live on Sundays because if Holly wants to do something, it's Holly's time. If she's working all week, I do these lives when I can. And she allows it mostly because she's working or something else. Cooking, doing laundry, not Jim's kind of laundry, but the real laundry. Mm-hmm. And but on Sunday, if she wants to go get something from someplace, or if we're going to do something with family, that tends to be Saturday and Sunday. So I'm probably not going to be tailgating for Mike on Sundays, but that leaves open opportunity for the YTPC to say, hey, look, after the first of the year, that Thursday slot is going to be open. And there's somebody already going to be tailgating at a normal time. I could pick up right after that, and it'll help grow my channel. There's an opportunity there. And if Chad Yardism decides that he doesn't want to do his 3 hours worth of a live, which 3 hours is a long time to be on a live feed. But if somebody wanted to come on after me or say, hey, look, this is the time slot that I can actually fill in there during Chad's normal time if he's not there, this gives opportunity for those that want to do lives to select a time slot where there's definitely going to be people on and willing to watch. I mean, Steph's going live tomorrow with Skip this time. But again, that for me, that early morning on Saturday is kind of easy to do. Holly likes to sleep in. I'm one of those early risers. So sometimes, unfortunately, I can't attend the whole show for Steph and Skip. I mean, I like to. But if Holly's up and she says, hey, we got things we got to do, then, well, it comes down to that family first statement. Oh, that's right. You're going to the Guess Who. That sounds like it's going to be a fun concert. I'm almost jealous. Not totally. Mostly because I'm not really sure about going into crowded auditoriums or even crowded open air spaces right now. I will say that there's been a news report that I saw today in one of my feeds that somebody who recently traveled to South Africa from Colorado has brought the Omicron or Omnicron version of COVID here to the United States. Which, again, I'm going to say this again, fully vaccinated people are the only people that are traveling internationally right now. Which means that the vaccine is not effective at keeping you from contracting it or spreading it. So there's the whole issue there with the vaccine is not actually as effective as people would like for it to be. Well, Jim, there's a place right down the road called Sugarland. We could fix that problem for you. Yes, I know, it's a song. Yeah, if I take my glasses off, I can't see those eyes. Good song, though. Now, I'm not suggesting that the vaccine is a bad thing. It is going to save lives, I guess, from all projected outcomes of it. It's keeping people from feeling the more extreme effects of COVID. But it's not stopping the virus, which is kind of the point of the vaccine, isn't it? Steph, do you know how Three Dog Night got their name? It's actually a statement from Australia. On a really cold night, you put your dogs in the bed. One or two dogs, it's just chilly. Three dogs, it's a cold night. That's according to something I read somewhere. And it's been so long ago I don't even remember where I read it. For me, it's turn on the electric blanket and watch the three cats climb up there with me. One of them can smell an electric blanket from 3 blocks over. That's okay. My heavy set cat, he likes to sleep with his belly up. But the pound here said that he was feral. I'm sorry, but there is no such thing as a feral cat that will sleep with their belly up. Feral cats will always protect the belly. They'll always sleep belly down. Well, Skip, with them being rock stars, I don't think that they ever actually experience cold nights like that anymore. Well, Steph, we did see your very nice video. No, Martin, I'm not still live. This is completely a figment of your imagination. Howdy, Martin. How you doing? Though I did see a little thing come across my screen saying something to the effect of, you just put a video out. Piping on the go? Well, it said over a pipe, just put out a video piping on the go. If you were hacked, it was a pretty damn realistic hack. So other than Steph and Skip, who are going to see a concert tomorrow night, anybody got any good plans for the weekend? Working? Ugh. Come on, Martin. Work's a 4-letter word. We don't do none of that around here. Nashville, hello. Well, Jim, you do laundry every weekend, don't you? And 2 or 3 times during the week, too, huh? Martin, I'm curious as well. I'm also curious to see how many people show up to the Nashville Mafia thing. Steve's got no plans because he's still recovering from the holidays and company. I understand that completely. Odie, don't those people understand that the only way they're going to get you to switch to anything other than what you've already got is if they're offering a better bourbon service? But Martin, will there be 100? That's the question. Will there be 100? Or will John get to keep his Phil Rivera pipe? I got this feeling John's keeping his Phil Rivera pipe. Oh, if allergies weren't kicking my butt, I'd finish that cigar. I was going to wonder what TPC Summerlin was until I saw Willie's answer. Now I know. It's a golf course that I'd do better shooting with a camera than I would with a golf club. Well, James, having had some of your tobacco, I'm going to say everybody really, really wants Num Nums. And by the way, howdy, sir. Glad to see you could make it. See, Odie, that works every time. Waste their time, and eventually they'll figure it out and give up and stop trying. Well, there's a big difference between Facebook and YouTube. Facebook, you're just kind of putting a little blurb out there about something, and people kind of read it, and they make up their own feeble decisions quickly. YouTube, you go on there and you tell them face to face about it, and then they kind of have to decide whether you're pulling their leg or not. And I'm going to tell you from what I've seen of the esoterica drops that Martin predicts, he's not pulling your leg. He might be pulling a spider leg out once in a while, but he's not pulling your leg. Come on, James, there's nothing wrong with aromatics. If you like aromatics. Though so many people are shutting down aromatics at the state government level. But there's like 5 or 6 different locations where you can't ship aromatic tobaccos to them anymore because they are completely outlawed in that state. Because yeah, we see teenagers going out and smoking a pipe because it really fits their idea of calling us boomers, and then going out and doing something that only a boomer would do. Let's see, what was that golden rule again, Martin? Get in there first and get yours before everybody else can get theirs? Ah, so James Stumbo has a video loading at present. I will tell y'all, I try not to do videos because I'll set them up to upload and it'll take 4 hours before it finally finishes loading up. Or I can just go live and say the exact same thing and it's out there immediately. School bus. Willie, that really is the golden rule. He who has the gold makes the rules. Oh, come on, James. Stumbo thumbnails are a work of art. Each and every one. I don't know how you Photoshop all those pictures together onto one screen, but it's such a masterful job that you've done. I liked mine. Just saying. Jim, I'm willing to answer most of that. Odie is always looking for Weller. In all the amazing colors that it shows up in. I mean, they're the rainbow coalition of the bourbon world. Red, blue, green. I'm willing to bet there's a few others. Come on, Odie, you can tell me. That's right. Thanks for reminding me, Martin. On the 10th, for all of y'all who are out there and watching, gotta remember, Jay Mouton is going to be doing his annual St. Jude's, and this time the Shriners, charity auction. And last year's was amazing. Didn't have a bunch of items, but it was really fantastic. This year, there's more than that. There it is. Let's see. Green, red, blue, black, white, and orange. It's a whole rainbow. James, that is very true. Those hospitals, I mean, it's kind of heartbreaking unless you don't have a heart. Seeing kids that are in there fighting for their lives with various different ailments, and there's these hospitals completely going for as little as possible And depending upon the kindness of people to donate to keep the doors open. I mean, it's amazing what they can do. Martin, they would probably allow you to do that because, well, dogs are very therapeutic for people who are sick that way.
Especially kids.
Especially kids. I'd take my cat, but I'm afraid he'd probably decide to snap or paw or claw at one of them, and that would be the wrong message.
He'd run in terror. He's afraid of short people.
Yeah. He doesn't do real well around small people. I'm afraid of what a troop of undersized people would do to him. I remember Weller Blue. It was pretty good stuff. Well, Martin, I'm willing to tell you that, I mean, you would need to make sure that they're cleared for being okay with it, but chances of them turning down a sweet, lovable, affectionate dog is pretty slim. Ah, create your perfect bottle. Okay, I understand now. Like where Odie is a fan of Weller, I personally like Wild Turkey Rare Breed. Barrel proof. Nice and smooth. 108 point something or other. Good stuff. Oh, Martin, he's a 90-pound Basset Hound. You just need to dress up like Sheriff Roscoe Pico Train, and then it'll be fine. You could rename him Flash. Uh-oh. Someone in Nashville is wanting to know where to get dinner tonight. How far is Memphis? That is true, Steve. There is some certification you'd have to go through. Ooh, sipping on 101. That's right in my wheelhouse. And Russell Reserve's State Pick was out this week. It's always a good thing. Actually met Jimmy Russell back in 2000 and I'm going to say 2004. Might have been 2005. But it was before I got my motorcycle. Woo! there's Willie throwing bombs. Well, Martin, now you know how he got to be 90 pounds. He just convinces people to keep throwing him extra brisket and pulled pork. That'll do it. Yeah, great big old steak. I mean, if you gotta go slumming it, I guess you could go hit Crystals. James, is that Zeus also that's service dog certified? I mean, I understand if not, because he's still kind of a puppy and maybe a little bit too rowdy. But oh yeah, Jimmy Russell. Great guy. If you ever get a chance to meet him before he passes on, I mean, he's, good Lord, probably the oldest master distiller in the state of Kentucky right now. Going for that Nashville hot chicken. But they're only going to be available until 8:35 tonight, just before Matlock. That is true, James. There are definitely a lot of machines at those hospitals that those kids are hooked up to. We have a Texas Children's Hospital here in Houston, and the couple of times I've had to go do electrical work at those hospitals, it's always like come in through the service entrances and don't bother any of the patients. I wouldn't want to bother any of the patients. Just saying. Wait, Martin, you've had all week to prep for this show. You're not finished prepping yet? Come on, man. You wonder why people pick on you so much, but then you throw it out there like that. Yeah, Odie, he's definitely well into his 80s by now. I know that he had been the master distiller when I was 30 for long enough that he was the master distiller for every single drop of turkey I've ever consumed. Oh, James, yeah, Zeus is smart. There's no question he's smart. It's the question of, is he calm enough? But if you say that he's much better on a collar and leash, I'll agree with you. I wouldn't know enough to tell you different. look there. Martin firing back. Swing for the fences, brother. I like that about Martin. He doesn't mind throwing some jabs back at me. I don't mind. Really, I don't. You're not going to hurt my feelings there, Martin. Tell me what you really think. Even if I do pick on you about shots. And so does Stumbo. And you got to be doing something right. I mean, Katrine ain't sitting around just for the green card anymore. She's got kids. Ooh, sake's on the shot list. Are you going with cold sake or are you going with warmed sake? Yeah, James, the blind service dogs are completely on a whole different level. Went to school with a kid that had one, and you'd think this big old dog compared to him was like way too much, but that dog was so well behaved, it was ridiculous. There you go, Mike. Ugh, ugh. By the way, Mike, I appreciate your help in getting that address to Phil. That is wonderful that the cigar that Everett won that he donated to Charlie was able to go to the right location. By the way, for all of y'all hanging out, would anyone like to win a cigar? I know it's starting to wane. I'm down to only 8 people. Or at least that's what it's telling me, is that there's only 8 people left in here. Well, Willie says sure. Jim says sure. Let me grab the bag. Come on, Trump. I see you coming. You coming? Nope. Some say they see 9, some say they see 13. All right. Let's see. Fine. We're going to see if we can't make sure to get you the right stick for whoever wins of what's left. I've got 2 that are Connecticut, one that is technically a natural and two that are Maduro. Send one to Willie and one to Desert Pine. I could probably get that to happen. Woo! There you go, Steve. True, James. Nobody really came out screaming, "Yeah, let's win a cigar." Well, let's see. Willie, who doesn't smoke cigars, or at least not many cigars, and Jim, who seems like he's more of a full-flavored kind of guy, so we'll go back to the heads and tails. Who wants to call it? Does Willie want to call it, or does Jim want to call it? Okay, Jim's calling tails. Tails with no tab, heads with a tab. Uh-oh, it is heads with a tab. Willie! Willie, who tends to smoke a little bit lighter blends, and who's not really big on cigars, I'm going to see about this happening now. Willie, I'm going to need you to send an address to 4 Donald W. Hughes at gmail.com. Oh, come on, James. My arms are long, but they're not that long. But we're going to get you 2 of the Connecticut's. You're saying be gentle. These are gentle. One is a Lancero, Southern Draw Rose of Sharon, and the other one is the H. Upman Grupo de Maestros. Now, I'll tell you, they are fantastic sticks. I smoke both, and I'm a Maduro guy. So for a Maduro guy to be saying, hey, yeah, these are really, really good sticks, they've got to be kind of knocking it out of the park. All right, Jim, because James said that I'm going to have to do this. That leaves you with the choice of a My Father La Bijou, great stick there, a 1935 anniversary Monte Cristo, that's a damn good stick, and a La Gloria Cubana Series R, which is quite literally the biggest stick left in this box. So depending upon which one you can think of there, that you and I've already gotten it, Willie. Howdy, Gerald. Great to see you, sir. James, yeah, the La Bijou is fantastic. It is by far my favorite of the My Father lineup. There's some really good sticks in it. And there's Eddie saying, yeah, he likes that one. Well, Jim, I'm supposed to be sending it to you, sir. Or at least getting it sent to you. Now, the Glorias are good cigars. The Spanish press is very nice, though. And the Gigantica is a 60 ring gauge box pressed cigar. Not a problem. La Bijou is gone, leaving only a Monte Cristo 1935 anniversary and a La Gloria Cubana Series R, which means I can finish these out sometime tomorrow. Y'all do realize that means I'm going to be giving some away tomorrow at some point. Not a problem, James. Yeah, the Perdomo 70 gauge, mixed results from that. Not a problem, Willie. Now, Jim, did you need that email address? Just in case you do, it is, of course, the number 4, my name with a W in the middle, at gmail.com. Well, Sharon, they're not really souvenirs. Cigars are meant to be smoked at some point. I mean, I know some guys that carried around cigars sort of more or less as souvenirs. And then when they got around to smoking them, they hated the fact that they didn't treat them right. I've never seen them, Eddie, but I'll make sure to start checking them out. Come on, Jimbo, it's not about paybacks, brother. Phil sent me a stack of cigars and said, give these out to people who are not really way up their cigar smokers. Now, that doesn't mean that if Stumbo had won, I wouldn't have sent it to him. That just meant that for most people that are farther along in cigar smoking, they tend to be a little more on the idea of, hey, I better be real careful about what I'm getting, because I know I don't like every cigar. Great seeing you here, Odie. You take care. And you know I'm going to be there on Martin's show. La Ferrona cigars. I have actually never seen them. But it might be a local retailer from somewhere there in the Florida area. There's actually a lot of cigars that come out of Florida that don't get very far out of Florida, just because they don't have they don't have the pull of some of the other ones coming out of Florida. Miami Cigars has a lot of pull. Padron has a lot of pull. Quite honestly, Padron started off selling cigars to the local area right there around Miami. What they used to sell was just little everyday sticks, and then they grew the brand to the point where it's a Padron. Howdy, Greg. Great to see you. I have no knowledge of Micallef. I'm not even sure how to say that. Yeah, Eddie, you were asking me about an L-shaped cigar. I have had one. It's been a while. I can't guarantee you that it was the same maker. Howdy, Ben. Great to see you, sir. So, the lights are starting to dim here in the studio here in Friendswood. Howdy, Cole. Great to see you, sir. And I'll hang out with y'all unless somebody else goes live. I am willing to bet that I might have had one from the local shop there in Weatherford when I lived there, Eddie, but I wasn't smart enough to pay attention to every name brand. I just kind of, I'm feeling this one today. Oh, come on. There's no bad jokes. There's just not funny jokes. Sharon, I'm not sure if Paul's going to be going live tomorrow. We'll be sure to ask him, though. All right, Eddie, not a problem. And you know, boutique blenders, when they are still small that way, sometimes they turn out some exquisitely fantastic cigars. And when they really start getting a name for themselves, that's when somebody like Altadis or Cigars International or one of the other big ones will come in and say, hey, look, we really like your cigar, and we're gonna go ahead and throw this stack of cash at you, and we're gonna buy it, all of it. Yes, Greg, how is the camping going, sir? My cat's scratching at the door. Just a second. Okay, he fooled me. Came downstairs, scratched at the door, and then took off. Damn cat. Steve, I did see that story, and I wish that it wasn't true, but it sounded like some guy who just wanted to finish his route and go home and get paid for it. Sad that people will take a job like that and then they won't do the job that's given to them. I know lots of people that would take that job if they could get it. And yes, Greg, I did watch your video about camping. I watch a lot of videos about camping. It's been forever since I've been camping. James, FedEx does pay pretty good, but if you're technically on salary, you get paid more if it takes you less time. Well, per hour. And yeah, we had something like that here in the Houston area with one of the mail couriers. He just took his truck to a buddy's house and unloaded everything into a garage. And guy got caught when the guy's house caught on fire, and the fire department saw all these packages and envelopes sitting around in this guy's garage. Yeah, let's just say that he probably doesn't have a job anymore, at least not with the post office. Possibly with Federal Prison Bureau as inmate number blah 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 blah. Oh, Greg, I'm not too worried about that. I haven't been camping in a while, mostly because if I'm going, would want to go with Holly, and Holly just doesn't want to go. She likes having a shower. I mean, what can I tell you? I don't blame her. But we used to go camping up at Texas Renaissance Festival, make a whole weekend of it. Of course, since COVID, we haven't been to Texas Renaissance Festival. It's only been going for 47 years, no big deal. Huge event. People come from all over the state to go to it. We'd go rent one of their spots to pitch a tent. Show up real early on Friday, get our little spot set up. And load everything back up into the truck on Sunday. Spend all weekend at the Renaissance Festival. One weekend a year, no big deal. I mean, you can technically see everything at their Texas Renaissance Festival in one day if you really, really push. But if you want to take your time and like actually see the jousting, actually sit around and watch the blacksmiths doing stuff, watching as a old-timey drop forge actually forges things, glass blowing, knife making, leather work, various different arts and crafts from all over the place. You kind of have to really plan to be there for more than one day. And I mean, if you can have off for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and you know how to pack well for camping, then it's pretty easy to do. A lot of guys only go for the chainmail bikinis, though. Don't blame me. Just being honest. Let's just say that there's certain women out there that choose to wear as little as humanly possible to those type events. And some guys do as well. Of course, sometimes it's more about the whole costume. James, we got a word for people like that. It's called arsonists. You shoot a few and they stop trying. Oh yeah, chainmail bikinis. Cole, definitely. You get some very talented women dressed out in chainmail bikinis, and well, it's kind of fun to watch. There's one guy that walks around with a mechanical centaur costume. I think it's centaur. Half man, half horse. Maybe I'm wrong about it being a centaur. I don't know. But the back half of his costume will walk. And I don't know what makes it walk. I couldn't tell you. It's all covered in horse leather of some sort. And he obviously works out. And the women love to walk up next to him and take pictures. Because he'll be basically naked from the waist up. He took a lot of time and money to make that costume work. Kudos to whoever that guy is. So, all right. Starting to get a little bit dim. I don't want to be out here when it starts getting dark. I'm not going to turn the lights on. I've been on for about 2.5 hours. Steve, there's a lot of those girls at the Texas Renaissance Festival too. Yeah, they'll wear everything from old school pirate costumes to old Victorian dresses. But yeah, they all have those waist cinchers that put all the fun out there to see. And most of them can barely say that they're covering a nipple. Cole, that's very possible. I never heard Holly ask that guy. But she doesn't mind looking at the parts of him that aren't covered in horse. I don't mind her looking. I don't look like that. Babe, if that's what you're down for, I mean, that's cool. I know that on the hotter days, I wouldn't want to be wearing that getup though. And like I said, I mean, right about now, officially, Texas Renaissance Festival is over. It's 80 degrees right now today. Imagine wearing all of that extra fur and walking around all day. It's got to be hot and heavy in there. I'm not putting that much into it. Just saying. Well, Cole, that's strange. And I don't know whose comments can show up and whose don't. I cannot see any of Ganjawana's comments at all. I haven't for months. I like Jeremy. I like him just fine. As far as I know, he's a good guy. But if he blocked me or something and I can't see his comments, well, I don't know about it. But if I'm like on Martin's show, when he shows up, I can't see any of his comments. First thing that I know he's even there is everybody's saying hi to him, or the little thing shows up saying, Ganjawana, you have this many points. Because I guess he typed in exclamation point 10s. Hey, it is what it is. I do put the comments on the screen so I can read them, but I make sure that they stay up there so that anybody who feels like reading them can continue to read them. Plus, then when it goes to when it becomes a video for YouTube, anybody who wants to look at it can see what the comments were that got whatever response that I gave. That way you still kind of feel like you got to watch the live show, even if all you got to do is watch the rerun. And no, I don't expect people to go back and watch 2.5 hours of rerun. Looking at this face for 2.5 hours, y'all are the stars because of that. Jim, if you're still there, don't forget to send me that email. I haven't heard it come through yet. One more shot for you there, Jim. For Donald W. Hughes at gmail.com. I mean, there's a few locations that I as well have to flip it between live and top, and I've tried that with Ganji's comments, and I can't get any of his comments, neither live nor top. Kind of miss him. I'm betting that's why he got mad at me, is somehow it got canceled off of my screen, and I don't know that he's commenting. Not going to blame him if he's upset about that. It's not my fault. I did everything I could. I even went into my settings and made sure if anybody was blocked that I unblocked them. But other than a few people who proved themselves to be trolls that were erased by my very, very good admin people. Oh yeah. Oh, James, I'm just letting people know. I mean, Ganji's stuff is funny. I liked reading his stuff back when I could see it. And now I can't see it on my feed, and I can't see it on any of the feeds. I'm still subscribed to his channel. I still watch his videos. Howdy, Everett. Everett, just as a statement of fact, we did find a address for Charlie. That cigar will be going out to him. And it's getting darker and darker over here. With the lights dimming and the need to probably get something to eat before Cane Rod's show finally comes to an end, and I have to be over at Martin's show, I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here. So, ladies and gentlemen, it has been so very much fun having y'all here. I'm glad to see each and every one of y'all. Hopefully y'all are all well and healthy and happy. Willie came back just for me to sign off. Sorry about that, Willie. So as per normal, y'all take care of yourselves and each other. Let's do the best we can with that. I love this community, and I see that y'all do as well. And as per always, long lives, big bowls, and long ashes. Y'all take care, and hopefully I will see you soon. If nothing else, I'll see you on Martin's later this evening. Y'all take care, and bye for now.